For my underdogs, the ones willing to pay the cost. Even when we're up, we gotta take a loss. Underdogs are always against the odds. I'ma use this opportunity to do it for my underdogs. I'ma do this for my underdogs. I'ma do this for my underdogs. I'ma do this for my underdogs. Yeah, my underdogs.
Welcome back to another episode of the Rec Center Podcast, everybody. Man, we back rolling, consistent, getting the content out. Kenny Edwards with my co-host Lorenzo Parham. What's up, man?
What's going on, Ken? Hey, Ken, I'm excited about this one, man. He got to come give us a story of that class that he was in, right? But before we get into his interview, shout out to Omari Murphy for last week's interview, man. O gave a lot of game, talked a lot of stuff, and it sparked a lot of conversations, right? I got a call from someone that don't even talk that much, Ken. He wanted to come on the podcast. He wanted to say his piece. Jace Goree called me. Jace reminded me of Mikey. Jace don't even talk that much, but he like, I'm ready to talk now, Lo. So shout out to Jace for the phone call. Jace lining it up. But we got to get into this one, man, because when we start talking overrated and underrated in the OEL, bro, we don't talk about Frank enough, right? Because of the running backs, we had the Vitals, we had the people he played with at Skyline, we had all of them teams, and Frank kind of lightweight don't get the, hey, Frank was one of the best in the league. He went to the NFL, all of the shit. He don't get talked about enough. So we gonna bring Frank Summers on, let him tell his story, man. Frank, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, fellas. I greatly appreciate it. It's an honor to be on.
Oh, we gonna get straight into it, Frank, because you know we on like episode 51. I saw Ken post episode 50, so we getting pretty deep into this thing now, man. Hearing a lot of different stories, a lot of people talked about your Skyline team a lot. You know, we go dab into that. We got a thing. I want to see how you felt about if you saw the episode with Gino, where Gino said all the Skyline running backs are overrated, right? He said all the Skyline. So we want to just dive into all of that. But before we start, Frank,
I gave him a chance. I said all or just like all. He said all.
He said when Bean was there. He said all the ones when Bean was there. So we go dive into all of that. But Frank, this is the Rec Center. So let us know, man, what did you grow up playing in a rec center somewhere, or were you playing Boise Girls Club? What was your youth like when you came up playing sports?
Yeah, not really. So I kind of grew up at Mosswood Park. My father used to play basketball there every weekend. He grew up there. So I would travel to Mosswood on the weekends with him and play there all Saturday and Sunday. And then also growing up, my grandmother was a member of the downtown Oakland YMCA. So I really grew up there. So I grew up at the YMCA. I did all their summer camps. I would go there, play basketball. That was kind of like one of the first weight rooms I got in. So those were the two places that I really grew up at. But as far as the other places that a lot of guys traditionally grew up in Oakland, I wasn't there.
But so you started off playing basketball originally?
Yeah, so I started off playing basketball. I thought I was going to be a hooper. And I got a funny story about that. But actually, my first sport, I played ice hockey. I played ice hockey for 3 years. Then it got very expensive for my mother when it came time to traveling. So I got out of that. And then I thought I was going to be a hooper. Went out for Skyline's JV team, made the team. Beam seen my name on the list and was like, "What you doing here?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm about to hoop." He was like, "No, you ain't." And I was like, "Yeah, I am." He actually took me to the head coach at the time and was like, "Yo, telling me about to get a scholarship." Coach was like, possibly, he's like, "No, he ain't. He's a fucking midget. He ain't gonna get no scholarship playing basketball."
Holy
you know what I mean?
Shit.
And in true Beam form, punked me, told me go to the mat room to wrestle. So I was a wrestler starting that day.
Hold on, back up. You just threw a lot at us too fast, right? Hold on, we went from you. We hear a lot of stories of a lot of athletes, man, the shit that we didn't know, right? So we never heard of Frank the Hooper, right? He never heard of Frank the Hooper.
Exactly.
I don't even know if Frank the ice hockey player even sounded right neither, right?
Hey, I done hoop with Frank. Frank can hoop though. I done hoop with Frank. I done hoop with Frank. Frank can hoop.
That's what I'm saying. But I can hoop, friend. But you never hear Loda Hooper.
No, you should have played in high school though. You should have played.
I was ineligible. I told my story already. I was ineligible. But Frank, so when we go get to Beans with the Bean part, so when did you first get your introduction outside of ice hockey to come in and play football? Did you play youth football for somebody?
Yeah, so 7th grade, I played for the Oakland Saints.
Okay.
That was my first year playing football. True story. I had saved all my money up that summer. I had mowed lawns, washed cars, done whatever I could to save the money because it was $150 and my mom didn't have it at the time. So I saved my money throughout that summer, went and paid it, but I was overweight. I was 30 pounds overweight. And it was like, yo, once you pay the money, you don't get no refund. So by the time this date comes, you got to have this 30 pounds off. And my mom was like, yo, you think you could do it? And I was like, yeah, I think so. And bottom line is I lost like 33 pounds by the Jamboree in like a month.
That dedication.
You know what I mean?
That dedication and the lack of not wanting to lose $150 that you it up. Hey,
yeah.
What school were you at in the 7th grade?
Claremont.
You was at Claremont. So
Claremont.
Was a lot of players at Claremont playing for the Oakland Saints, or were they at the Dynamites? Like how was that? Like
they were playing. They were playing for the Berkeley Cougars at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of those guys are playing for the Berkeley Cougars, but respectably, they all went to Tech. And I thought I was going to go to Tech. I wanted to go to Tech.
Hey, in our first episodes, early in the Rex Center podcast first episode, we realized everybody was either at Tech and left or should have went to Tech, right? We talking a whole different ball game. Now you just blew my mind already because we would have had D-Tuck and all of them dudes that would have stayed at Tech. Didn't know that. Now we talking what would the backfield look like with Frank and then Marshawn coming in very next year. Can we have more than one Silver Bowl for sure?
More than one Silver Bowl, a bunch of concussions given out.
Dude, what would hidden practice look like for that, right? Okay, so you end up going to play for the Saints, and you say you should have ended up going to Tech. How did you end up at Skyline then?
My mother took me there. Yeah. At the time, I actually lived in West Oakland, 2 blocks away from Mac. But I should have went to Tech due to the zoning of that junior high. Usually your junior high determines where you go to high school.
Right.
But if you want to go based off of where I was living, I lived across the street from Mac. You know what I mean? But my mom
was you the man for the Saints, or did they have you at like left guard or something?
Yep, I played guard, center, and tackle.
Guard,
I played O-line, D-line.
Center of the bench and tackle anybody getting there.
Hey, I was playing O-line, D-line, wherever they wanted to put me at, man. I was so excited to play football. I was dressed up, fully padded every day before practice, 2 hours before practice. Everything on.
Who was the stars on that team?
We had a guy named Shep. Actually, Shep went to Tech.
Shep
I played with Shep.
Yeah, Shep with the
Tech. Tim Pierce was a hitter on the team. I didn't even know Tim Pierce was a hooper. I met him playing football.
Okay.
We had a couple other guys. Yeah, we had a couple other guys on the team, though. But yeah, I was playing O-line, D-line.
I seen Shep hit somebody so hard he knocked his teeth out.
What?
Yes.
Yeah. Shep was a hitter.
The first part of the story is it was 7-on-7 with no pads.
Oh yeah! Shout out to Shep, man. Shout out to Shep. Shout out to Shep. Hey, so when you leave at the Dynamite, first of all, let's get back. I mean, I'm sorry, the Saints, right? Your last year at the Saints. Who I know the Dynamites was who they are. Who was your rival? Like, did y'all win a championship your year you was there? Who was the rival you guys played against?
No, unfortunately, man, I think when I got to the Saints, they were kind of on a decline because after my midget year, the next year, when I was in 8th grade, they had shut down that following year. And that's when the Warriors had started. So kind of all old players that went from the Saints to the Warriors.
Okay.
So, but for me, I mean, like I said, I didn't know anything about any of the tradition. I just was happy to play football. And so definitely Berkeley Cougars at the time was good. And then obviously the Dynamites because they was the other team in Oakland.
Absolutely. Okay, got it. So when you were going to Skyline, when your mom take you to Skyline, did you already know the rich football tradition of Skyline at the time? Did you know what you was getting yourself into?
No, my mother actually didn't even send me there for football. You know what I mean? Mind you, I just started playing football, so we didn't know football was going to turn out to be what it was for me.
So she was sending me to NFL dreams and fucking Walter Payton on your wall and all that shit.
Not until I got to Skyline.
Okay.
When I got to Skyline and I seen the tradition, and as y'all have heard, that wall, you know what I mean, with all them players who got scholarships, and then obviously You know, you got Kirk Johnson, you got Jarris, you got all those guys up there working. You're like, oh yeah, this one's supposed to be.
So you mentioned you basketball player, you playing for the Saints. When you get to Skyline, you play your first year, and then you try to go play basketball. And Bean was like, "Hey, you know what? He's getting a scholarship."
Well, so this is what happened. So obviously, football's in the fall. As soon as football season was over, basketball tryouts happened. So I was up there every day at 6 a.m. trying out, made the team, and just so happened at the time he was the athletic director as well as a head coach. So he seen me up there real early. He was like, "Hey, what you doing up here?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm about to go to basketball practice." And he was like, "No, you're not." I was like, "Yeah, I made the team. See my name right here." He was like, "Yeah, come on, let's go talk to the coach." And that's when he told the coach, you know, tell him right now he's going to get a scholarship playing basketball. If you can't tell him that, he ain't playing.
Hey, you know what? I got to try that on some of my parents, man. Hey, you know, let me tell you something, dude. It's football season right now, but these hoop coaches, still AAU coaches, still the football players the whole summer, and it's getting ready for football, right? But these players is like, they linebacker size, man. They 5'7" and stalky. You're not going to the is he gonna get a scholarship? And one, basketball is hella hard to get a scholarship in. It's extremely impossible. It's extremely impossible for people to get basketball scholarship. So I gotta go talk to we're being at when you need them, right? Yeah, you get a basketball scholarship. But did that make you buy in more into the football program when Beam did something like that? Like, was it like, okay, then he must be telling me I got action at getting a football scholarship? Like, did that help you buy in more?
I don't know if it helped me buy in. I would say one of my gifts in life has always been able just to listen and trust. You know what I mean? Like, a guy told me one day, man, do 60 push-ups every night and you'll get muscles. I did that my entire youth. You know what I mean? If you told me to eat vegetables or whatever you told me I was going to do, just because I had a competitive spirit in me to always want to compete and be the best, you know? Absolutely. And so going up to Skyline, like I said, seeing all them dudes work, it was impressive, you know? Mind you, at the time of my 9th grade year, going from the 8th grade to the 9th grade, I was the youngest dude up there. No freshman was up there yet, you know, but my mom was taking me up there to work out because I was still trying to play Pop Warner. She was like, "No, they got a JV team. You're going to play JV." And I was like, "Oh, I want to play Pop Warner one year." She was like, "No, it ain't going to happen." So I'm up there working with the whole varsity team. You know what I mean? Kind of lost, but, you know, still finding my way and just going by their lead. So really those guys set the foundation. And then playing JV my first year, I really didn't deal with these. I got pulled up at the end of my JV year to go to varsity. But I think I was too young. I was only like 13. My birthday's in September. So I was too young to play varsity. So I just practiced with them the rest of the year, and then going into my sophomore year, then that was really when I really got to know them.
Okay. So you being in class of 03, and I'm thinking back, who's the senior? So that the senior class is Ken class, 2000, 2001, 2002. That's Ken class, 2000 class. 2000. Right? Who was the top guys in that 2000 class that was at Skyline that you was like, okay, that's a senior. He working really hard. I know you said Kirk and them, but they 01. And Terry 01. So who was the senior?
They had Humphrey Garrett. They had George Benson, who was a D lineman. They had Jamal Jones, middle linebacker, stand-up guy, great guy. Who else did they have? They had
Lyle Coleman,
Bubba. Yeah, Bubba. Yeah.
Jerry Bailey wasn't on that team, though. Jerry is 99.
Jerry was gone. Yes, he was already gone off to college.
Okay.
But yeah, Bubba was the guy, and I specifically remember Bubba because when they played Daylight that year, so Bubba was like a big deal on their team. He played running back, I heard, tight end, pretty much anything they needed, he did. But Bubba was supposed to be a dude, man. They played Daylight. I was a water boy for every game. And I seen DJ Williams run him over and not look back, not even stop, not even blink.
Oh, no. He stayed in full motion, like he stayed in full stride.
It was something I had never seen in my life before. And I think he ran for like a 70-yard touchdown. Might have been a 60-yard touchdown. You know, it was like a dude in high school run over somebody who played Pop Warner.
Hey,
and I was like, damn.
To see that as a freshman, right? To see that as a freshman, and you looking at this Daylight Sal, and it's like, hey, this DJ big as shit, right? Did you go into it like, hey, senior year, let me get on these weights now. I got to be big in the motherfucker my senior year too.
No, it didn't. I was a freshman, and I thought that every day when I worked out.
Okay.
When I was tired, I'd be like, DJ ain't getting tired. When I ain't want to do something, I'd be like, DJ doing this. Yeah, I mean, he was the number one recruit in the country at the time. Played linebacker, running back. And to me, at that time, he was a god. Mind you, I had respect for my guys at Skyline, but he was on a different level.
Hey, but that's very impressive as hell, Frank, to have that mentality as a freshman. Like, I'm thinking like, hey, this is what the number one person in the country is doing. I got to top him. I got to do that, right? What instilled that type of mindset in you, though?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was born with that mindset. You know what I mean? Me and my mom have talks all the time, and she'd be like, "Hey, Frank, you got to realize everybody's not you." You know, because things that just naturally happen for me or thoughts that happen for me, it doesn't click for others. You know what I mean? For example, I got a 13-year-old daughter. We got into it the other day at her swim practice because I'm trying to help her get off the dive, block better. So I'm like, hey, you got to explode off. So I'm like, hey, I need you to do these lunges around the pool every practice. And after you get to each corner, do 25 squats. Well, she started crying the other day. And I didn't know how to react to that. And I was like, yo, but you said you wanted to be the best. You want to do better. You know what I mean? How can I help you to be better if you don't want to put in the work?
Right.
So honestly, it's just something that's been instilled in me. And I'm thankful for the gift.
So how does your daughter, we all parents, and it's different. My daughter's went into the athletic world, all like you and Ken's daughter is, right? But what type of push do you have to give? Like, do you pull back with your daughter doing it, or do you just keep giving? This go for you too, Ken, with the whole you want to be the best. This is what you got to do mentality. Like, I'm thinking like my daughter, when she was running track and I got her at Piedmont and I'm telling her do these 400s, she did 2 and was like, I'm done. And I couldn't push her no more. Well, you done, we leaving there, right? How do you do the extra with your daughter to keep that mentality going?
Yeah, so it's tough, honestly, man. I was on the phone with our family therapist this morning talking to him about it, because I was like, yo, I'm going to just be like, fucking be hands off. I'll show up as a father and be like, hey, good luck. And at the end, whether you win, lose, be like, good job. Because I don't know how to be that person in between. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to win, I want you to win. I want to support you. At the same time, I'm still your father. So it's a very fine line. I got a son who's 10 years old. He's identical to me.
Oh, yeah.
He doing work on his own. He going to do the work I give him plus extra work. He competitive. He got it. And she's nothing like that.
What about with you, Ken? Do you got to do the same thing with your daughter? Like, how does that go? Your daughter an all-star football player.
She way better than me, but I just push her as far as she lets me push. And then, kind of just stop where it stops being fun, and that's where I stop. Because I always wanted to be fun for them. I never want them to feel like they got to be me and shit. And then at the end of the day, sports ain't everything. So just because they don't want to be an Olympian don't mean they don't want to be a champion at something. So you try to find what their something is and then push them there. Like my oldest daughter, she like to cook, and she run track at St. Mary's, but it's really for fun.
It's for fun. Social. It's social. She's a social athlete.
The cooking, that's her thing. So then we'll do the push and doing the extras, and we'll do it in that department. But I ain't finna have her up at 5 a.m. running stadium stairs. Nor do I want to do that.
Hey, so Frank, we know you got so high school, seeing George. Shout out to George, man. Shout out to Bub, right? Seeing Bub getting ran over by DJ. That's the like.
We can't leave off Gene Jones, though. That's my partner. We can't leave off Gene Jones. Gene Jones was a senior that year.
Gene Jones, 2000?
Yes.
Yeah.
Derek Whiteside, 2002, right?
Yep.
I think 99.
Whiteside 2000. He 2002. Shout out to them guys. So we know DJ was like, yo, welcome to high school sports moment, right? What was your welcome to the OEL moment that you had? Who was a competitor you knew, like, hey, when I go against this guy and I'm gonna know we go bang heads for a whole goddamn day of football?
Yeah. Man, with all due respect, nobody. You know what I mean?
Oh,
nobody. Our practices at Skyline were harder than some games.
Hold on, let me back up. Let me back up. Hold on. I
Yeah.
can't let you off the hook like that.
Yeah.
Easy, Frank. Hold
I'm
on.
with you,
Okay,
Lo.
you know what?
I'm with
Hold
you,
on.
Lo.
Here we go.
I'm
Here we
with you
go.
on this one,
So
Lo.
here we go. My junior year playing Mac.
Red, right? You got to be red, right?
That was the one
That's
game.
the game that came to my mind.
One
I
game.
got to think of red.
That was the one game.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the one game. Red is a year older than me though, too.
Yeah, that's
know
what I'm
what I mean?
saying. So
it didn't happen to my junior year because truth be told, my sophomore year, I'm riding on all their coattails. You know what I mean? I'm just a sophomore. I'm just piggybacking on Kurt, Jarris, you know what I mean? All those guys' tails. You know, I'm just trying to play my little role to fit in.
okay.
You know, I played fullback and then I played D-line. You know, so I didn't have no pressure on me. I didn't have any worry or concern. You know what I mean? I just wanted to make my plays for them because
Okay.
that was their big moment. You know, but I really felt something my junior year. You know,
Is your junior year when Mac won the Super Bowl, beat you guys in the Super Bowl,
yeah.
and then y'all come back and won it the next year, your senior year, right? Okay,
Yes.
okay. And Mac had a deep that team your junior year. That's like Red, Brandon, all of them guys.
Yeah, they did, and they were good,
Skyline
and they were good.
Back since the 70s, man. Fuck that.
But Skyline was stacked, right? But when I'm looking at it, like, so you go 2001.
We were all homegrown. We didn't have no transfers. Everybody Skyline played from
Hey,
JV up.
hold on, wait.
They all played from JV up.
Frank, hold on. Frank, I
Yeah.
feel a little shots fired, Frank. I feel a little shots.
We played JV up.
I feel a little shots fired there, Frank.
Go ahead, explain it to me.
The shots fired I hear is you like, okay, cool. Red and them transferred in. David Gray and them transferred in.
Which is fine.
Transferred in.
Which is
like,
fine.
The shots fired is like Mac kind of went and did a Lakers trying to get a championship.
They bought their silver ball.
No. It's all good though, because guess what? That team that beat us made my senior team.
I can see that.
What do you mean?
They made our senior team.
Respond to life.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. So it's cool, you know, and they were a good team and they deserved to win. And I'm going to be honest, the reason we lost is because we didn't have the leadership that year. Those same guys on my junior team, we all came back as seniors, but we didn't know how to lead yet. You know what I mean? There was a huge gap from the 2000 squad to us. And that's why when I talk to other Skyline players and they'd be like, yo, who's the best team ever? I would say my 2003 class is, because we were all sophomores playing with Kurt and Jarris in there. You get what I'm saying?
We go get into it a little early now. You
All right.
Go there early, Frank. So
go ahead.
No, listen, we talked about, we had a little ranking of teams 94 to 2005, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And me and Ken was tripping. We left the 03 team off. Team off, and we left Oakland High 94 team off. Then when me and Ken sat back and talked about it, it was like, how the hell did we leave that team off, right? And we were blind to it. But when we talk about, if we want to do a list, we could have put hella Skyline teams on there, honestly, from the time frame. They fucking won every year, right? But when we talk your 03 team, and we talk your 98, the 98 team, right? So I believe y'all 03 team, y'all was like 11-1, right? Y'all go 11-1?
11-0-1. And that 0-1 is my fault. We're running a clock out. I fumbled the ball with 50 seconds left. They go down, tie the game.
Against who?
Foothill.
Okay. 11-1, right?
And we were up in that game, I think 21-0 at one
point. Okay.
I just want to know who the fuck hit you and made you fumble. Like, who was that guy?
It was me just running for extra yards.
Oh, okay.
Got it.
Young and, being just dumb, just trying to carry the pile and, everybody just reaching at the ball and it dropped out.
Okay. And so here's the thing, right? And when we look at y'all team, we look at the 98 team. I'm in the 98 team because they did go undefeated and they beat some guys, they beat some boys, right? But when you look at as far as athletes on each team, I give the nod to 03. I give the nod to 03 as far as athletes. Why? Because it's you on that team. It's B. Sanders senior year as well, right? B. Sanders.
Yep.
Giannis senior year as well, right?
Yep.
Is one more person. Am I missing somebody that was like that went with y'all?
Devon Best.
Devon Best, right? That's that. So that's there. Y'all, like y'all
that team was so talented. Devon played receiver in the NFL and had to play quarterback for our team, for our high school team.
So because and me and Ken were talking about this. We asked who was the best. Who was the star receiver? Was it Brandon?
Brandon played. B. Sanders was a star. B. Sanders was a star two-way player. Okay. You know what I mean? But we also had Eric Davis. He played receiver.
I know Eric Davis. E. Davis.
Yeah, E. Davis.
E. Davis.
Yep.
I know E. Davis.
E. Davis played receiver and was really nice. And let me see, who else did we have at receiver? We had B. Sanders, E. Davis, and there's one other guy I can't really remember right now.
Was it he got the African name? Was it him? He went to Idaho. Or was he much later?
No. Tariq is younger than me.
Okay.
Yeah, Tariq is younger than me.
So the 03 class had the big names, right? Mm-hmm. So the 98 class had Roger Ratliff, right? He had a hell of a season. I give you that. Not to minimize Ryan thing. He did go to Stanford, play professional ball, and I'm gonna say Ryan Fernandez. They had Omar Nazell was on that team, but was a junior. You know what I'm saying? It helped the team. Mm-hmm. It did help the team. They had Dominique Shaw, who went to University of UW, right? So they had some players, right? They just didn't make it as far as you guys made it. So it's like, is it even? And they only get the nod on y'all, in my opinion, because they did have a blimp. No, they had an undefeated season. Season. That's the reason they get the nod on you guys. But the 01 team is not to be a pushover team either, right? Not to be a pushover team as well. Mm-hmm. So Skyline have these teams we talk about all the time. Do you guys have them arguments yourselves? I remember Joe Bates. Was Joe Bates on your senior year team too? Or Joe Bates a little young later?
He's a little younger, but I believe he was on our senior team. Yes, but he's younger. Yes.
So Joe did the shout out to Joe Bates before he moved back out to Florida. He did the Skyline football reunion, right? Is this something you Skyline guys do and sit around at some shit like that and just talk about which team would have won?
We do. Whether it's on Facebook, whether it's at the reunion, whether we see wherever, we're gonna talk about it. You know what I mean? That's just the competitiveness in all of us. You know what I mean? And that's what built the tradition. You know what I mean? And as I said, much respect to all those teams that came before us, because without them, we wouldn't have had a blueprint. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so just like you said, I'm gonna throw that 98 team. Okay, go ahead. I have no problem with it. You know what I mean? I have no problem with it. I respect those guys. And like I said, without them, there's no way.
Have y'all ever asked Beam who do he think would have won? Because I asked Coach Edwards. Who he thought.
Yeah, he won't say. He won't
say. Okay.
He don't have his.
I will say this. I believe our team was one of his favorites.
Okay. And just to piggyback off, we had a few Skyline guys on the show. We had Arthur Young first. We had Bob. We had Bob from the 97 team. We had Kirk from the 01 team. And everyone, and we had LaCorey Collins. Shout out to LaCorey Collins.
And KP.
And KP, right? So we had all of these different Skyline guys on here who all have different relationships with Coach Beam, right? What was your relationship like with Coach Beam as from the time you got the Skyline till you left, even to today now?
He was a mentor. He was a motivator. He was a coach. You know what I mean? And like all of us, he was a dictator. You know? But it was great for me. It was what I needed. And even to this day, man, he can call me up right now. He'd probably be cussing me out. You know what I mean? We got a great relationship to this day. And I appreciate it. I needed it. Not everybody can be coached by a coach like him, you know? And honestly, that's one of the reasons I don't coach in today's game, is because I don't know if I were to coach, I'd have a team, you know, because I demand so much out of my players, just like I did myself, you know, and from what I hear nowadays, those kids just don't have it, you know. But he brought the best out of me, you know, not only as a football player, but just as a young man, and even today as a man.
Okay. Did you ever see, and Shout out to your backfield mate Giannis. We got Giannis. Giannis gonna get on. He confirmed he gonna get on. So I'm gonna let Scron tell his own story, but his relationship and his things he say about Beam is totally different than yours. Did you witness things like that as a teammate of his, that the relationship was different with Beam than it is with you?
Nah. At the end of the day, how can I say? So when I was at Skyline, I was all about football. Living, breathing, eating. That's all I was about. That was my life. You know what I mean? Other guys, and not Scron, you know, and not to name anybody, but other guys had street lives. You know what I mean? They had other lives other than football. So when I was at Skyline at 6 a.m. doing weights, then I'd go work out at lunch. Then I'd come back after school and go work out again. Then I'm going home to the YMCA, working out again. Other dudes was probably in the streets or doing whatever they're doing. You know what I mean? And so other people had issues outside of that hill, you know? And one thing I can say about Beam is he gonna give you a chance. He gonna give you a chance if he likes you. You feel me? If he don't like you, he might say, fuck you on the first strike. You know, like, hey, I don't see no potential. You fucking up. Get out of here. But if he see potential in you, he gonna work with you. You know what I mean? I was a fuck up in school. I hated school. You know what I mean? I got a learning disability. I'm dyslexic. I've been diagnosed with that since the first grade. So I hated school. So Beam would cuss me out about school. You know what I mean? And it got to the point one time where he was like, yo, I don't even want to see you. Don't come to no practice. Don't come to no weight room. Go to class. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I could see where some people weren't able to be coached by him, you know, and some people didn't take keen to that style.
Got it.
You know what I mean? But for me, I mean, shit, I grew up with a mother who talked to me like a stranger off the street. So what he was saying to me, I wasn't tripping off that. You know what I mean? Not to mention, I had a goal in mind. I wanted a scholarship. So again, it goes back to you tell me what to do, I'm going to do it because I got a goal in mind. A lot of people be like, nah, fuck that. I ain't doing that. Or who he think he is. Or, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. I never had that personality. Beam called coaches up in front of the whole team one day in front of me. Hey, you know Frank Summers? Don't fucking recruit him. Don't recruit him. He's a piece of shit. He don't go to class. Don't recruit him. He'll rip up letters, throw them away in front of me. One day he called a team meeting, you know what I mean? He was like, hey, Frank, come here. Cussed me out in front of the team, was like, yo, I'm your daddy. You know, he was like, you won't do shit in this world unless I say so. So everybody running around school all day talking about who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? You know what I mean? But for me, it was motivational. And to be real with you, I was fucking up. You know what I mean? I was fucking up. I can be accountable. Some people can't be accountable. So when he called them out like that and they know they're wrong, they like, oh, you the problem. Why you calling me out like that? Why you treating me like that? You know what I mean? And you see how it is. I mean, I'm sure with today's youth, they don't want to be accountable. You know what I mean? You can't call them out. And then if you let the shit ride, it just builds up on the other end. So it's a lose-lose.
Absolutely.
All right. So, because I know because I revere Beam as one of the greatest coaches at any level. And part of being a great coach is knowing who you can do that with and who you can't.
There you go.
Like that with everybody, or did he know? Because like you said, you responded well. Do you think he knew, like, I can do this with Frank? Or did he just do it with everybody and it was like sink or swim?
I think he knew what buttons to push on me. But then also that's his coaching style. You know what I mean? And you got to remember, we were on teams that were loaded. So motherfucker, if you don't want to go, guess what? I got somebody who might not be as good as you, but they right there next to you. Right. So I'll put that person in, you know what I mean? And that honestly is what builds teams. That's what builds championships. That's what builds dynasties. You know, that's how you build things. Because if you let one player hold you by the nuts, then guess what? The rest of them going to try the same thing.
Yeah, one bad apple.
But then again, Skyline at the end them years was running back high. You know what I'm saying? So we can replace you. Like you get kicked out of here and get a bad name from fucking Beam. You going to Castlemont, you going to Oakland High. No shout out to you, Ken, but you going to Oakland High and you might not get recruited from there. You go get a bad rep, bad thing. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna put up with this shit because he can help me get out, right? And then one of the things you talked about, maybe back on thing with recruiting, and you got a long decorated career. We got to get moving forward. When did you first start getting recruited? Start receiving a letter, coaches start calling about you, and this whole wanting to get the scholarship, the dream of the scholarship became more of like a reality.
So I was told to look for a scholarship as a freshman in high school. You know what I mean? As dudes signing, as dudes on the wall, they're like, yo, you next. And I'm like, for real? They're like, yeah, keep working. And, you know, the players put the seed in my ear. But I probably started getting recruited maybe a little my junior year. And then my senior year, I was recruited, but it died down due to the fact that I didn't have a test score. You know what I mean? And it's a funny story about that. I didn't have a test score. I was getting recruited by like Washington, couple San Jose State, couple other schools. Didn't have a test score. One day I get a call down to the office. I get an envelope. They say, hey, bring this back, you know, next week. Don't open it while you're here. And I ain't gonna say no names, but I get home and it's an SAT. You know what I mean? And so my aunt took my SAT. Yeah, I took it back that next week, turned it in. I got a score, went to Cal. Coach Stepper was like, yo, you want to come here? I was like, yep. He was like, we got a scholarship.
Hold on, the fuck off, Frank.
That's deeper than Marquinh's story.
Wait. Hold on. So you had a take-home open book SAT test, right? That someone else was able to take for you. Ken, I should have never went to tech. I didn't know about no Prop 48s. I didn't get no take-home SAT test. I didn't get none of that, right? So right there, once you got your test score, is boom. Now it go from recruiting to offers being given.
Yep.
What made you choose to go to Cal? Sign with Cal.
It was next door. B. Sanders had already committed there. You know, Big Zoe and them was there already, you know, making it happen.
Shout out to Zoe. Shout out to Zoe.
Yeah. And so I just was like, yeah, I'm here. You know, I was there during the spring practice. And it was raining. And yeah, Coach said, he was like, you want to come? He was like, we got a scholarship for you. He was like, we already gave him out for the fall, so we're going to bring you in the spring. I was like, cool.
What other schools was in the conversations for scholarships with you that you would have considered?
The only one who had a scholarship for me on the table was San Jose State, and Scron had already went there. You know what I mean? Yeah, Scron had already went there, but they were going to take us both. But I just, you know, I was like, nah, I think I could do a little better.
Okay.
You know, so I'll hold out. So I held out, took the test, got a score, and boom.
And so when you get to Cal, we're talking spring 04?
Spring 04.
Spring 04, right? And you got Zoe there. And Zoe, we talked to Zoe too. He talked about how, you know, when he got there, he was trying to help recruit Bay Area cats there as well. Come fool with me, right? What was that like at Cal and coming in the spring? Like, was it a red shirt type of thing, or coming in the spring you got action at getting playing your first year?
Shit, I thought I was gonna play. I thought I should start. You know what I mean? Spring game, played full. You know, spring ball, played fullback. I think in the spring game I had like 2 carries for 2 touchdowns. One was like for 2 yards. One was like for 30. You know what I mean? And at the time, they specifically just had me at fullback, and I was like, "Yo, I can run the ball." You know what I mean? And so that's why on them 2 carries, it was so important for me to show them my running skills. You know what I mean? But so we go from spring camp all the way to fall camp. I'm doing the same thing, and the coach come up and say, "Hey, we're gonna redshirt you," and I'm like, "Why?" And he was like, you know, we just want, you know, we want to develop you a little more. Mind you, like, I felt like I was ready. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, when he said that, man, I was all ready to go. I already called Coach Beam at Laney and was like, yo, Coach, I want to come there. He was like, nope, stay there. You ain't coming here. You know what I mean? Fast forward to that fall, as I redshirted, I got in some academic trouble. And basically they gave me an ultimatum, was like, hey, go get your grades up at a junior college, and then you could come back or stay here. But if you get, you know, below a certain GPA, you'll never be able to come here again. So I was like, yo, I'm out. Went to Laney with Beam, played there 2 years. My first year led the country in rushing touchdowns and yards. Had a handful of offers to come out then, but I was comfortable. And Beam was trying to push me to, you know, go. And I was like, nah, I'm gonna stay one more year. Well, stayed the next year, and in JUCO, it's a hit or miss year every year. My second year at JUCO, I was bigger than every alignment I had. Didn't have the same year, didn't have the same offers that I had the year before, so ended up going to UNLV.
Oh no, let me back up, because now we got to get to the part where hold on, after your senior year at Skyline, was that also Beam last year at Skyline? Did y'all leave together, or did he
coached one more year?
He coached one more
04.
year. He coached
Yep.
04. Okay, so now when you call him Beam up, hey coach, I'm ready to come down there. And he's like, no, don't. Do you think he was kind of trying to look out for your best interest with the man, stay up there, work through it type of thing? Like, I know you go red shirt, but like let time develop type of thing.
Yeah, I believe so. And also he knew what he was surrounded with, he knew what that program was when he got there.
Okay.
I'm at a top tier D1 college, which when I was at Cal, we were ranked number 2 in the country at one point. You know what I mean? We were ranked number 2 in the country at one point, and barely lost to USC on like one of the last plays of the game or something like that.
Is that the year Cal beat Tennessee in that, or they beat one of the SEC teams in the opener? I thought it was TS.
It was they played Tennessee.
Tennessee, I think it was Tennessee they beat in that opener that year.
I want to say our opener, we played Air Force. But just to give you a glimpse at our team at Cal, we had Aaron Rodgers as our quarterback. We had Jeff MacArthur at receiver, who was really good. He was All-American. We had J.J. Arrington starting running back, Marshawn Lynch, Justin Forsett. That whole team was stacked and loaded.
Yeah,
Our whole running back room at Cal went to the NFL.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's crazy.
Running back room.
So when you was already a qualifier. So when you go back to Laney and you rush for all these, you lead the state in rushing. Who all was on that Laney team with you that was getting ready to go somewhere as well too? Were y'all good that year? What was the team like that year?
So that was the thing for me, man. When I went to Laney, it was refreshing because also at Cal, socially I didn't fit in. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to adjust to that yet. Less than 1% minority on campus. And the football team, all the dudes is from LA, and I'll just leave it at that. It was only a handful of us from Oakland. You know what I mean? So when I got back to Laney, I'm like, damn, I'm home. Okay, we all hungry. We all trying to get up out of here. Let's work. Everybody was working. Everybody was on the same page. And, man, that was probably one of the best years of football I had in my life. You know what I mean? Because we was all starving to get up out of there. You know, we had Houston Lillard at quarterback. We had me at running back. We had our whole offensive line was all state. We had Dante Floyd, middle linebacker. He played at Mac. We had Eric Davis again at receiver. T. Black was playing receiver. He was from Mac as well. It was like an Oakland All-Star team.
Dude, so I'm listening to you talk, right, with the all-state line, right? And they're leaving. You wasn't never thinking like, hey, I don't know if our line gonna be as good next year. Let me get up out of here with y'all.
Didn't think that.
Okay.
You ain't thinking about that. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking, damn, I just left Cal. Didn't care for that situation. Now I'm here in this situation. And I don't know if you ever been a point in your life to where you never wanted to leave that moment. Whether it was in or out of your control.
Yeah, I've been in that place a few times.
Yeah, first time I was with
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna stay here. Put it this way. The Boise State coach had come to my house 3 times. They had made 3 recruiting trips for me to take, and I faked on all 3. At the time, they had Ian Johnson as a running back. They didn't believe in him. They kept telling me, hey, come in. We need a running back. They kept saying, we're going to go to the Rose Bowl because that's when the BCS finally started allowing teams outside of the, power conferences to go if you were ranked. So they sold me the dream. I didn't see the vision. So every week, Ian Johnson rushed for 100+ yards and balled out that year. Liam would walk by me and be like, you fucking stupid. You're retarded. That could have been you.
And Johnson is the guy that proposed to his girlfriend after they did the little fake gadget play, right? Oh, that was
sir.
You, Frank. Frank, you could have been proposing to your girl on TV after the fake play. But I understand exactly what you mean where you in the moment, right? And I don't want to really rush and jump a little too early while I'm loving it, right? And I think when I think about that, I think about all the professional athletes that be having a time of their lives in college, but they got to go get this thing, and they get to the pros and they become loners. They don't be themselves no more because they left the moment that made them what they were, who they were, right? We see it all the time with cats that jump and go to the league, and not saying that they not physically ready, they just not ready to not leave that environment. So when you see these cats staying in college for 4 years and they could have left, they really love the shit out of college. Like I love the shit out of college. It's like I wasn't ready to go into the adult world. Like I love the hell out of everything we had going
when
on.
Prince go to college, bro, don't go with him.
I'm going, Ken. Do not
Prince do his thing, man.
Do not let Prince go to Arizona State. I am moving to Scottsdale. I'm buying a house in Scottsdale. I'm out of here, right? Hey, no, but I can't go. No, I'm not gonna do that. He got to enjoy the same shit that I had to enjoy. College is a fun experience for all, right? So Frank, when you do go back your second year, rush, and I don't want to minimize UNLV. That's still a big D1 school. How was it like when you got there?
It was cool. I mean, I was on a mission. You know what I mean? I only had 2 years to get in and get out and do what I needed to do. So I knew what I was there to do from day one. You know what I mean? From day one, I was there on a mission. From moving into my dorms to, interacting with the dudes to going out, I was on a mission. You know what I mean?
We got a lot of high schoolers that watch our show, right? So can you just elaborate on the different type of Division I programs? Like was Cal and UNLV similar in program, or what was like some of the big differences in program wise with them two D1s?
So Cal was a traditional D1 program. Like I said, we were ranked number 2 in the country at one point in time. My whole running back room went to the NFL. UNLV only had one guy maybe get drafted a year there. You know what I mean? The work ethic wasn't the same. The commitment wasn't the same. You know what I mean? So it was just different. So I was kind of like a lone wolf. You know what I mean? For example, when I got to UNLV, man, I hooked up with a guy named Bo Bell, middle linebacker. I think he was the first pick of the second round by the Browns. My junior year. But we trained together at UNLV. We worked together. And when it came time for him to get drafted, he indirectly taught me all the things not to do when it was coming up for my draft day. His personal workout, they cut short because, they were like, he's tired. You know what I mean? It just wasn't a good workout. Mind you, still was his first pick of the second round overall. So I knew for me, when it came for my pro day, they could run me from here to Africa. I ain't getting tired. Whatever they want me to do, I'm doing. But also he had a big name, big time linebacker, all conference, all 4 years. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, he had a lot of built up to him. Mind you, I'm just coming out of junior college. I ain't got shit. I'm starting back from the ground up. I got 2 years to make it happen. And so, the program at UNLV, I mean, it was what it was. It was what it was.
Right. Do you feel your position being fullback, right? So you came through as a fullback at the tail end of the fullback position, right? I want to say the fullback position is every year it get more extinct in football, right? You get the air raid offense, you get quarterbacks need to throw all these yards. There's no more power running game like that no more, right? How was it when you was talking to professional teams about, hey, we could bring you on, this is where we might draft you at? How was that with being titled with the fullback position?
So most teams were bringing me on to play tailback. I played tailback at UNLV. I didn't play fullback actually until I got to Pittsburgh solely. And the reason I played fullback, I did this to myself. What a lot of people don't know is going into the draft, I had a herniated disc. I didn't want to say anything, so I just fought through it. I played an all-star game with a herniated disc. I did my entire pro day with a herniated disc. I did OTAs and training camp with a herniated disc. You know what I mean? And they got this rule where if you play 3 games in the season, you get your full pay. At the time, I had just had a baby girl, and shit, I needed every penny I could get. So between me and my agent, I was like, yo, I'm going to suck it up and grind it out. As soon as that third game hit, I'm gonna let them know, hey, something's wrong. So the way I ended up playing fullback solely was because in training camp, I couldn't get low. I couldn't bend like I normally could. I couldn't say something was wrong with my back. So they put me at fullback sparingly, and I was balling out. I was doing what they needed to do because I was already starting off in a 3-point stance. So it wasn't me dropping, it wasn't me dropping. I'm already here, so I could just go here. But as a tailback, you got to go from the 2-point back down. I couldn't do it. So they kind of boxed me in as a fullback saying, oh, well, this is what you can and can't do. That's how I got stuck at fullback in the league.
Okay. Got it. So what was it? So was Pittsburgh the first team you was at in the league with, right? That was your first team. I know you played for a couple of teams in the league. Was Pittsburgh first?
Yep. So Pittsburgh drafted me 5th round. I had took a visit there. I had a great meeting with the running back coach and the staff, Coach Tomlin. Actually, they flew their whole staff out to UNLV for my pro day. They ran my entire pro day. I did my entire pro day by myself for 2 hours out in 90-degree heat with no water.
Wow.
Mind you, I had it in my mind. My boy just a year before tapped out on his pro day. I couldn't do that. So I'm like, yo, what y'all got? Actually, I didn't even bench press until after. Usually you go broad jump, vertical jump, bench press. They took me straight from broad and vertical jump outside to the field. I did my 40, I did my shuttle, I did 3-cone, I did the 60-yard conditioning test, which usually they don't have nobody do. Then I did an hour private workout with them.
Wow.
Then they said, hey, we're going to go inside and do the bench press. I told my agent, I was like, I can't go in there and bench. I'm done. He was like, you got to. Went in there and threw up 32 reps.
Damn.
225. You know what I mean?
Hey, so going to Pittsburgh like that, right? Who was there at Pittsburgh? Was you like, okay, I'm here, I'm bringing this same work ethic? Like, did you ever get a chance to you like, hey, bro, that's fucking Joey Porter right there, bro? Like,
everybody. So rookies, we in there working out one day. We're with the strength and conditioning coach. We squatting 225. James Harrison walk in there and say, hey, y'all, watch out. This motherfucker picks up the 225 rack and push presses it 10 times, puts it down. It's like, y'all get back to y'all workout.
Hey, if that ain't trying to sign some rookies that I ain't never heard of, hey, y'all go work. Maybe just do this like this a couple times, right?
You gotta tell that other James Harrison story.
Oh, let me hear the James Harrison story.
Is it with Coach Tomlin?
Yeah.
So Coach Tomlin, my whole spring and summer, he like, hey man, I got a surprise for you. I'm like, okay, what is it? He's like, just wait, I'll give it to you. I got something coming for you though. Anyway, we get in training camp. He set a clock, the periods. He started period over. It's like, yo, Frank, Debo, let's go. Pass block and drill. The whole period is me and him going one-on-one. He was like, I told you I had a surprise for you. And I mean, as a rookie, I wasn't terrified, but I'm like, damn, man, I gotta do this. So we go through the first one. It wasn't that bad. But then Tomlin like, no, he hold the lines off. He like, no, this whole period is dedicated to them. They're gonna keep going. And I mean, James had just come off. He had just come off a defensive player of the year, just got paid, and he was at the top of his career. Mind you, as a rookie pass blocking, you got a lot of catching up to do. So he calling out what I'm gonna do before I even do it. He was like, he's a forward leaner. Watch this. And he'll run to me and get to the front of my nose and make a spin move or a swim move. Yeah. You're like, got him. You know what I mean? It got to the point to where I just wish he would run into me so I could lock up.
You're right.
You know what I mean? Because that was easier than him, mind fucking basically making all these moves. But yeah, we did that for about 10 minutes straight. You know what I mean? We did that for about 10 minutes straight.
Let's back up a minute, because you was drafted in the 5th round. We're not gonna just gloss over that. Where the fuck were you? Who was with you? Was you at Q's eating barbecue? Was like what was that feeling like?
So I had a free agent grade for my senior year. So I had no expectation. I had a free agent grade. I went to an all-star game, balled out in the all-star game, crushed my pro day. you know, and then there was actually the game that got me drafted was against Arizona State. There was a Pittsburgh scout there scouting a quarterback and a linebacker there at the time. Just happened to see me flashing across the field all night. I had like 140 rushing, probably like 70 yards receiving. And he said that game right there, he knew he had to draft me. But yeah, Pittsburgh, when I took my trip, they said, hey, man, if we get a chance to take you around this area, we'll take you. I'm going to take you. That's what the running back coach told me in Pittsburgh. I was like, all right. Well, we get to that day. I knew I wasn't going on the first day or second day. So we get to the third day, and I'm like, all right. So I wake up, go get a bagel, tell my aunt, hey, you know, Pittsburgh has a, you know, pick here. They had 2 picks back to back, actually. And actually, the Raiders had told me they were going to take me if I was around. But they didn't end up taking me. And San Diego had taken another running back earlier, so I knew they wasn't going to take me because we were the same kind of guy. So Pittsburgh had 2 picks back to back. I timed it up to where I went and got a breakfast bagel, got home. Before I could even put the bagel on the nightstand, I got a call. And it was Coach Tomlin. He was like, yo, we got 2 picks back to back. I got good news and bad news. Good news is, you know, we're going to draft you. Bad news is we're going to take you with the second pick. I mean, we're going to take you with the second pick instead of the first one.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Which it's about $25,000 difference on the signing bonus.
Really?
So,
the one pick in the 5th round?
One pick.
In the 5th round is 25,000? Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, take me. Coach, take me.
So, hey, but hey, look, yeah, but I was just happy to get drafted. You know what I mean? I was ecstatic. You know what I mean? I see my name come across the ticker. You know, everybody calling me. You know, the media and stuff. So I'm hopping in the shower because, remind you, like I said, I had really no expectations. I wasn't even dressed. You know, I called Everett and Jones up downtown Oakland. Shout out to them and their family. They threw a little barbecue party together in the back for me and my family and some friends. That was it.
Let me ask you this question, Frank. Playing for these 2 coaches with with big personalities, Beam and Coach Tomlin, like, what was it like? Like, were any similarities between the 2 on how they coach?
Great motivators. You know what I mean? Great motivators. They knew how to push buttons. They knew how to get the best out of their players. You know what I mean? So we'll come in there on a Wednesday and Tomlin will be like, yo, I got 1 hat, 2 dogs. I'll figure out which one of y'all going to be playing this week. We'll see this week during practice. You know what I mean? He would just call it out what it is. You know, with no sugarcoating. He's like, hey, I'm going to call it how it is. You know what I mean? Just like he says all his little quotes and phrases, you know, the standard is the standard. That's how it is.
So I'm trying to think of my coach. I think I'm more of a player's coach. I'm more of a Pete Carroll type guy, man. Like, come on, man. I got to, like, you know, I'm going to motivate you, but it's going to be a little different, right? And then you played for Beam all the time. What was did the coach at and this is why programs be the way they be. Was the coach at UNLV totally different from them? This is why they culture was the way it was.
So yeah, so he was a player's coach. He was a player's coach, 1. And then 2, the reason he had got that coach job was because he was the offensive coordinator at Utah with Urban Meyer and those guys.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Good.
But then, but then he got the job at UNLV and he didn't call the plays, you know? And so that was another reason I was a 5th round pick, was because teams felt like, hey, they didn't utilize you to your potential. So we're going to take a chance on you to see what you're going to do. I was a 5'10", 240-pound running back lined up at the numbers and at the hashes, motioning back in to run like this.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Fly, sleep and shit.
Exactly. But every time they put me in the eye,
at
240.
Put this dude behind the quarterback.
240. Exactly. But when they put me in the eye running downhill, I was running 400 plus every game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's when they first gave you Frank the Tank. Oh, that's first time I heard it.
Yeah.
So Frank, real quick, I'm gonna back up before I come back, because we do talk about our OEL experience a lot, right? What this sum up to us what Titan Pride was for you. We know, so when we talk to Kirk, I think Kirk out Titan Pride everybody, right? Kirk is Titan Pride to the fullest, right? What is Titan Pride like to you?
I'm gonna start off saying tradition,
okay.
But then it's a brotherhood. You know what I mean? Like, all of us Titans still are in communication with all of us, each other. You know what I mean? We no longer play football, but we still got that brotherhood whether it's business, whether it's families, you know what I mean? No matter what the case is, you know, Titan pride is forever. You
Absolutely.
know, but definitely the tradition, the culture, you know, and for me, it was the work ethic. The work ethic that I learned from those guys has taken me up until this point in life. You know what I mean? And going back to what I was talking about earlier with the sports, when I was saying it's the fine line with the kids, for me, it's a fine line, but also that work ethic on the field translate into regular life off the field.
Absolutely. 100%.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so if you quitting here on the field or you ain't willing on putting in the work here, well, guess what? When you go for that corporate promotion or that job, you know, where you going against 10 other people, you ain't gonna want to compete for it because you never been there.
So I want to ask you this. I want to ask you this before we go back to where we left off. So I know y'all argue about the teams, right? But it's different levels of Skyline players too.
Yeah.
Do y'all got different tables? Like, hey, you the all OAL table, but you can't sit at the D1 table. You at the D1 table, you can't sit at the league table.
But
you at the league table, but you can't sit at the Super Bowl table. Do y'all got like that?
Nah, we ain't got that. And then honestly, for me, if that's the case, I'm not gonna sit at any of the tables. I'm always put those guys ahead of me.
I go to the Super Bowl. If I go to the Super Bowl, I can't sit at my table.
See, now, hold on. See, I'm glad you said y'all Skyline pride is like the brotherhood. And definitely in my brotherhood, we have some sibling rivalries, right? And you said y'all all talking, y'all all still cool. So I gotta put you on the spot. I need you to rank some of your brotherhood, right? The Skyline running back. Just from now, I'm gonna go too deep into it. Just rank these Skyline running backs. You got one. You got my name one. You got Raj Ratliff. You got Derek Whiteside, and you got Terry Johnson. You got Scron. You got yourself, and I don't know if you seen the whole Jay Charlotte in them era, so we gonna leave that era out. So I'm gonna just go that 5. Just rank that 5 for me.
And actually, I didn't even see Raj.
Okay,
yeah,
but you heard Raj.
I heard great stories. Yes,
okay.
Yes.
I
heard all of the guys.
Okay.
Well, I mean, so for me, it's easy, man. I'm gonna throw Scron up top. You know what I mean? I'm gonna throw Scron up top, man. I got mad respect for him. I seen Scron run punt returns back when we were sophomores, and he didn't have no screws in his cleats. No screw. He's slipping everywhere. Okay. You know what I mean? They like, yo, why you slipping? He lift up his cleats. He ain't got no screws. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna put Scron. Scron is an athlete. You know what I mean? And Scron been doing this from the Saints to the Dynamites, to Skyline, San Jose. He been doing his thing. You know. And then I really, really do like what's his name? You said him before, Terry.
I said Derek Whiteside. D.
Whiteside. He was nice.
Okay.
Man, I seen him hit about 10 spin moves in one play.
That was his move.
Yes. You know what I mean? And so unfortunately, man, when I got to Skyline, he wasn't playing. I don't know if he was ineligible or what the case was, but he had come back for like a couple weeks during the season of fall. You know, so even then I got a short glimpse of him. You know what I mean? But man, I put him up there. But if I have to, I'm gonna go Scron Terry. I seen Terry. You know what I mean? I seen Terry running like a grown man. Terry was running probably a 4-4 or 4-3, and nobody even knew it because he was playing O-line at first. You know what I mean? And D-line. But
hold on.
Yeah,
so
those guys.
You went. Hold on. Where you didn't have yourself? Where yourself at?
I don't even count, man. You know, and I'm gonna tell you the truth.
No.
I'm gonna tell you why I don't count. Yeah. You know why? Because when people think of Frank, they think about me playing running back. But really, I was a football player. I played running back, fullback. I played D-line linebacker. I was the kicker. Some of my biggest hits in Skyline came from when I was a kicker. You go look at that James Logan hit. I was kicking the ball off. You know what I mean? So I was just a football player. You know what I mean? Giannis and those guys, they were strictly running backs. You know what I mean? Who you get them the ball and they do their thing. You know, whether it's kickoff, whether it's punt, running back. Yeah. So I mean, like I said, for me, man, I always take the backseat to all my guys with no problem.
So
some of these questions, Lo, you gotta have Frank like in the cigar lounge. You know, with just you and him.
Right.
No cameras. You know,
No, no.
you'll
I
get the real
already
answers.
told you. No, I told you straight up. When we do be having our cigars, I told you, man. I'm always take the back seat. You know
Okay,
what I mean?
cool.
We can't.
I'm glad you took the backseat because now we've been doing this for 2 years ago. One of our most debated lists we have, right? I'm gonna name some names off to you. It was
All
our
right.
top 10 running back list, right? Top 10 running back list from 96 to 04, right? I'm just
Okay.
gonna read the list to you. We had DJ Williams on there. I don't know. There wasn't no
Number one.
order. There wasn't no order, right? Ken, we just threw them
No
out there.
order.
We had DJ Williams. We had Atari Collin. We had Maurice Jones-Drew. We had Marshawn Lynch. We had Ken Simons, and he was the class of 96. We had
I remember him.
Jackie Crooks. He was also the class of 96. Ken Simonton went to Pitt. Jackie went to Logan. We had Mike Denard. Michael Denard went to Tech with me. Mikey went to Tech with me. We had Tristan George. Tristan George went to TG, went to St. Mary's. We had Roger Ratliff. And then we had Red Vital, right? Red Vital. So
That's fine. I'm gonna take TG off and put on Scrum.
that was a debate.
That's easy.
You said it fast, and it was a debate. That what some of the comments said. We're scrying at.
Yeah.
They had Aaron Early. Where Aaron Early at? You know, where was Aaron not on the list?
Hey, my brother brought up a name yesterday, and I don't know if he's if like he just isn't in this time frame. But my brother said, "What happened to Javid Best?"
Javid was 06.
Oh, okay.
Javid was after that time frame. Somebody called me and said Javid as well,
I
but
was like,
Javid was after that.
Well, I think y'all missing a running back too from De La. I think his name was Salim Muhammad or Salim.
Yeah.
Celine-
See, here's the thing. We didn't want to make it an all daylight list either.
We could have.
Yeah, I feel you.
Leon
I feel you.
Allen.
We could
We
have
could have put Terrence Kelly. We really could have just been 10
Could have
daylight
put
running backs.
Kevin
right.
Simon. We could have
Kevin
get
Simon.
Yeah.
all of them
You right.
guys. So we tried to be fair because
It was another guy. I think Anthony Petty from Fremont. He was real good
his
too
name
coming
came
out.
up. I don't know if he fit the year because that name did
He
come
did.
up. He did.
Well, you know what? He might be under me, so you might be right.
Hey,
Because
but
he
here's
might
my
be
right. He
thing,
might be
yo.
out of
for
years.
like 5 or 6 touchdowns or something.
But
Was
Ken,
that-
now that I look at our list and I'm able to break it down, we talking about De La Salle running backs and all this shit like this. Like, how much of their offense, that Veer offense, goes into them being really, really, really good running backs, right? They're like running a traditional offense, right? So that helps a lot. So a lot of
all that misdirection, that
all
helped.
that misdirection stuff, right? As opposed to you being a running back when you get, especially teams that was running. I'm gonna take, for example, what's your guy named Junior Adams that played at Amador Valley, right? He was a single back. They ran 2-by-1 with a single back, and that's a little harder when you got a full house backfield. You know what I'm saying? So now that I think about the
Before I got to high school too, there was a guy at El Cerrito, a big guy. I think it was like 6'1" or 2. He played running back at El Cerrito. Maybe graduated. I don't remember his name.
Well,
I remember going.
That one Choke, was it? That one Chioke that played running back in corner. He was hella fast. He
might have been him. He might have been him.
He went to City, but he was getting recruited by Oklahoma too. This one, Oklahoma was Oklahoma. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is then, right?
So is Skyline running back you, or is Daylight running back you? Or
I'm going
Skyline.
Skyline don't run the veer, so I got to give it to Skyline, right? But now that you said that, what's your remark to a comment like Gino saying all the Skyline running backs are overrated? Like, what's your thoughts when you hear that type of conversation talk? Like, is it rivalry talk? Is it competitive, or is it just playing out he tripping and hating?
Well, listen. He got the right to feel how he want to feel. I heard what he said. I watched his whole interview, and basically he was saying, "Oh, well, if you put me behind that O-line, I'll do the same thing they were doing." Well, for me, I would just say, well, you should have went there and stayed there. You said you was up there at the practices. You know what I mean? You said you was up there, wanted to do it. You should have did it. But again, everybody can't play there, and that's just where I leave it at. It ain't meant for everybody. Everybody ain't got that in them to be able to, clinch down and grind it out. And that's why certain people come out of there and they achieve what they achieve. And that's why other people go to other places.
Hey, Frank, going back to the NFL, right? And it's a dream for anyone to make it to the league. Did you ever make it to the lead and feel like some of these dudes, like, hey, some of you guys are overrated a little bit. Like, y'all, how the fuck y'all go in the first round and y'all, I'm in the fifth, but y'all a little overrated. You ever felt that way?
So this is the thing, man. Before I got drafted, I think my coach asked me, or it might have been after I got drafted, but my running back coach in Pittsburgh, he was like, "Yo, how did you feel about getting drafted in the 5th round?" He said, "Do you feel you should have been drafted before or after or what?" And I said, honestly, if I would have done more in college, I feel like I should have been drafted higher. But it was some games I only got 6 carries as a starting running back, because we was running that bullshit offense. And he was like, "No, I'm gonna tell you what." He was like, "You got drafted exactly where you were supposed to get drafted." He was like, "Everybody gets drafted where they're supposed to. Whether, no matter what you did or gonna do, you got drafted where you were supposed to." And so that was kind of the mindset I took, like, okay, yeah, because like I said, I didn't even have a draft grade, right? I could have been a free agent, but, busted my ass off and, worked my way into the 5th round. So I believe in you get taken where you get taken. But yeah, definitely some people who are not it. And I've seen it. You know what I mean? And I've seen it. And usually it'll be like at a middle linebacker spot, or usually it'll be like an O lineman or something like that. You know what I mean? They'll get a 2nd round pick and they just, for whatever reason, it don't click. It don't click.
Were you were you on any of the teams when the Pittsburgh Steelers won the Super Bowl? I'm saying Super Bowl. Were you
We lost the Super Bowl to Green Bay.
You lost to the Green Bay. Okay.
We lost to Green Bay.
But shit,
Was that
what
the only
experience like though?
Man, yeah, what was that experience like?
Man, it was amazing. It was amazing. Shoot, Beyonce was singing at halftime. You know what I mean? It was amazing. It was a dream come true. It's almost a surreal moment where you in awe and like it don't really hit you till after.
Got it. But thinking about it right now, I mean, as a player, right now we grown, we older, we realize it's a business, right? How was that for a player to understand like this is a business and not to have my personal shit in this because I can be here with Pittsburgh and then I gotta leave and move to a whole nother state? Like, were you able to understand that as a player?
From day one, I understood that. From day one, from the minute I got my signing bonus for $115,000, I sent that straight over to my financial advisor. You know what I mean? From day one, I knew it was a business. I tell people to this day, I lived like I was broken homeless when I was in the league. I rented a little, single bedroom apartment, rented a furniture, rented a rental car, and usually I would trade game day tickets, so I didn't have to pay for it, it'd be an exchange. You know what I mean? I ate all my meals at the facility, so I wasn't doing no grocery shopping. You know what I mean? So from day one, I already knew I could be here today and gone tomorrow. So I never bought no houses, never bought no cars. I didn't buy a car until I bought my mom a car, I think like my 4th year in the league. You know what I mean? I didn't buy me a personal car until I was out the league. So from day one, I knew it was a business and knew what time it was.
So when you left, because it's like when we first leave the place, when we first leave where we from and go somewhere. I don't know if it was for Ken, but when I first left Oakland and went to Arizona State, right? Arizona was like my home. It's the very first place I've lived outside of my family and shit like that. I still go back there, have a party and chill. I lived there for 7 extra years because it was like that was home, right? After you left Pittsburgh, you went to where'd you go after you left Pittsburgh?
San Diego. I went to the Chargers.
I went back to San Diego, right? What was that atmosphere like as a different from Pittsburgh?
Organizational wise, it was different. Wasn't the same. You know what I mean? You could tell things, you hear about good organizations, you hear about bad organizations, and you could tell that it was, it wasn't the best, And so for me, we had just come off the lockout. Yeah, we had come off the lockout, and Norv Turner was the head coach at the time. Phillip Rivers was the quarterback, and they had Mike Tolbert. And so during training camp, they had come up with this system where Phillip was at shotgun. Me and Mike was on the side, and basically he would call the play from the line of scrimmage, because we both could run, block, and catch. So we was audible in the play, and man, within like 3 weeks, I tore my hamstring completely. Tore it. I was like the new gadget. I didn't get from the time practice started to the time it ended. I was on the field, whether it was fullback, tailback, and honestly, that's where I felt like if I was ever gonna have a breakout year, that was it. You know what I mean? Because he like Beam knew how to use me. You know what I mean? But things happen, and you gotta roll with the punches. Injuries are a part of the game. But yeah, San Diego definitely organizational wise was not what I was used to coming from Pittsburgh.
Was it a time where cause you did 4 years in Pittsburgh or 5?
No, I did 3.
3 in Pittsburgh, right? So was it a time where you got out there and you felt like when you went to San Diego that Pittsburgh actually felt like home to you, or does the business mindset don't let you get into that?
Well, Pittsburgh was never home for a few reasons. 1, business-wise, and then 2, I was going from Vegas to Pittsburgh. And on the East Coast, everything is old, it's cold, and so I never got used to that. Never got used to it. So right after our last game of the season, I'm already packed up, headed to the airport, headed back to the West Coast. What I mean?
Okay.
And so, it was never, none of my teams were never home. If any team was home, it was San Diego because it was in California, and I was hop skipping away from the house.
Lo, I think you just kind of, because you were in Arizona State. That's a tough place to leave. It ain't hard to leave San Jose or Jefferson City or.
No. College-wise, I went to UNLV and I still live in Vegas.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Vegas, Scottsdale. Yeah. I was in Jefferson City. I ain't going back there.
We were in Jefferson City then, and I left the first moment I could get out of Jefferson City. I'm gone, right? Hey, but North Turner was going to use you the way you were used to being used. How was it like getting back off that torn hamstring injury?
It was rough. It was torn and it was bad. That next year I sat out the league. Yeah, I didn't even play that next year in the league. It was so bad, And I trained 3 times a day, 6 days a week that entire year. I got a workout in Buffalo and they signed me that day. And that's how I got back in the league.
You got on the Avocare products.
I did. Yep. My boy Cap, shout out to Cap, got me on Avocare. We was running every day. I was doing physical therapy, lifting. And Buffalo said, they'll give me a workout. When crushed the workout, they signed me right after the workout, and the rest was history.
Oh, so when you were in Buffalo, was Zoe still there? Zoe
got there after I left.
Oh, he got there after you left.
Yeah. Okay. So as I left, he went. Yep.
They kept sending you to these cold ass places, man. What was Buffalo like? Was Marshawn there when you got there? Was Marshawn there?
Nah, he was already in Seattle.
Seattle. Okay.
Yeah,
so
he was in Seattle.
What was Buffalo like?
Buffalo was cool,
other
man.
Than cold.
Buffalo was cool, man. It was cool. They got a Raider fan base foundation with the Bills Mafia. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, whether it's snowing, rain, and no matter what the weather is, they fans gonna show up and show out. You know what I mean? And it's a small little town, so they support every and anything the players do. So it was actually a great experience, and it was a good way for me, to end my career.
Got it. What was like your biggest, everybody in the league playing these linebackers, what was your biggest, what was the biggest collision you had in NFL? Who was it with?
Training camp, Pittsburgh Steelers. I got hit by a guy named Larry Foote, middle linebacker.
Larry Bigfoot,
yeah.
Yeah. He concussed me. I got mixed up on the play, and as I'm looking for it, because Pittsburgh's defense is real complicated. You know what I mean? It's real complicated. So as these guys moving around, I'm thinking this is the Mike, but he moves over there. Then they switch again. So I'm saying, okay, that's my guy. So as I'm running to him to block him, he's running from me. And as I look to turn this way, bow, ear hold me.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, ear hold me.
Hey, it's crazy because I didn't think they did that type of shit in NFL practice, right? I didn't think they did that in practice.
So training camp for the Steelers, we was in pads going live. It was real deal. So anyway, I got a concussion. I'm pissed. my family there, but like, damn, you know what I mean? Next play, I come knock out Lawrence Timmons.
Hold on, time
Very
out.
next
No.
play.
You said next
Yeah.
play. You're concussed
Next
right
play.
now. You're concussed.
Yes.
You knocked him out while you were still dizzy and dazed?
Yes. And then in the next drill, I get kicked out of practice because I went the wrong way on the play 3 times in a row. Then that's when they realized I had a concussion.
Hey, just
You
the
knew you had a
name.
concussion?
I didn't know I had one. I was just like,
I was like, the one concussion I had,
right?
I didn't even know I had it.
Yeah. I knew something was wrong. And they kept saying, why you keep going the wrong way? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Thought I was going the right way, And then the trainer was like, hey, come talk to us.
Larry Foote.
Yeah,
Lawrence
but
Timmons.
that's training
I'm thinking
camp.
about Lawrence Timmons though. Like he was the guy.
You never played. You never played against Ray Lewis because y'all in the same division, huh?
Yeah, but you got to understand, man. In the league, when you get older, you ain't wanting to do all that banging. You bang when you're young, you know what I mean. But when you get old, you trying to avoid that shit. You ain't trying to be banging bodies. You know what I mean. I went to go kill Suggs on the edge one day. This motherfucker was like, whoop, You know what I mean? Jumped all the way around. The running back hit the hole, but then my coach was like, yo, why you trying to kill him? He was like, he ain't gonna deal with you like that. He ain't trying to do that.
Sizzle go do
I'm
that
like,
all the time.
I'm like, man, I don't watch this dude smash people. I'm like, I'm thinking he gonna come with it.
No, he's
as you get older,
off the edge. He's smashing off the edge. It's a little different. I'm gonna finesse you. That was okay.
Yeah, as you get older, you know what I mean? Them dudes don't want to bang. And I get it because your body's too tired. You got to recuperate from that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Just make the play.
Okay. Man, I'm just imagine that practice, man, training camp. That's when Pittsburgh is kind of hot. Like I know it's nice weather in the summer out there.
Hot, humid. Yep.
And then that happens, right? But when you left your last playing days, Buffalo Bills, how many seasons did you play at Buffalo before it was like, okay, I'm done with football right now? 3?
Yeah.
Oh, you had a long career in the league, Frank. How many years did you in the NFL for?
I think I got credited 7.
7 years.
Yeah.
That's like
a lot of years.
That's a whole lot of years, right? Like 7 years, and then 7 years with only three teams. I think coming from Oakland, the ones we see with that, you got Josh been in the league for a pretty long time. Marshawn been in the league. I think Marvell Smith from Skyline, he played in the league for a long time as well.
Yeah, went to ASU in Pittsburgh.
ASU, yeah, I think he won.
Yep.
He won a Super Bowl, Ken. I think he won a Super Bowl.
He won two.
He won 2.
Yes.
So Marvell won 2, and then we have Marvell won 2.
Will Blackwell.
Well, Blackwell won.
He was with Pittsburgh too, wasn't he?
Is it Pittsburgh? Who did you guys? You only went to 1 with Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Jarris Wilkerson won 2 with the Giants.
Jarris won 2. Hey, man.
Giants.
Y'all got to get some replica Super Bowl trophies in the league, man.
Hey, it's a lot of rings and it's a lot of rings there, Ken.
It is.
They got their own table.
It's level to the fraternity. Hey, so you went on the team. I'm thinking of a play where what's your boy name? James Harrison gets this interception and he runs 90-something yards.
That's against the Cardinals.
So that was the year they drafted me. I was a senior in college at the time.
Oh, so that's the year they won it. You just missed out on that year. Yeah, okay, that's what I'm thinking. Like, okay, you just missed out on that year because I know Pittsburgh had won it. Okay,
they had won 2 Super Bowls in 3 years.
Okay, that's when they won it with the. I'm going to give James Harrison the credit, but I'm a receiver guy, and my guy made a hell of a catch in the back of the end zone. He made a hell of a catch in the back of the end zone to win the game, right? Even though I wanted Larry Fitzgerald, I was in Arizona. That's the thing. I'm in Arizona. I'm a fake Arizona guy. I got an Arizona hat on right now. Like I'm a fake Arizona guy, right?
Hey, Arizona's beautiful.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it, right? I need you to do a couple more things for me, Frank, before we get out of here. I need you to rank.
All good.
You need to rank your top 5 Skyline teams, right? Now, I don't want to go too far into it. So we know I got the 98 team on there. We got the 03 team. We got the 01 team. You're not too familiar with 96 team, but if you hear that history, that's Jay Charlotte and them, LaCorey Collins and them team. I'm going to throw 96 in there just for rankings. And then we have 2000 team because you came in high school and they were seniors, right? So rank those five for me.
So where can I put my
Let me
group
tell you something. Ken go edit this shit. He go do a clip of it, and all the Skyline whole fraternity go leave a whole bunch of comments on who would have did this.
Yeah.
Check your Instagram, check your Facebook, get it in the comments, and let us know, right? So
all
we
good.
got 98, 01, 03, 2000, and 96. I want you to rank them in your top 5 order.
So I'm gonna put us at the top, 03.
03 at the top, okay.
The 98 team was undefeated. They can go next.
Okay.
Go 2. 2001 could go 3.
Mm-hmm.
Was there another undefeated team other than 98?
Nobody was never undefeated.
Okay. And then that's 4, right? Or is that 3?
That's 3.
That's 3.
You have,
and then when
we have 2096 left.
Well, I'm gonna put 2000 because I was around that team.
Okay.
But they lost. Who did they lose to? They lost to St. Francis and De La. I think that was it.
Those are the only 2 teams they lost to?
Yes.
What was the Silver Bowl score? This brings a lot of fucking conversation.
The Silver Bowl.
Arthur Young. If that Silver Bowl score was bigger than 6-2, you do not have a fight argument saying you beat the 2000. Y'all was better than them. What was the Silver Bowl score?
Which year?
2000. The 2000 year. Your freshman year.
My freshman year, they beat Fremont. Yeah, they beat Fremont. They beat them by more than a couple points, maybe by a touchdown or 2.
Okay, that's
because remember
that Dub C year.
Well, no, Dub C was a senior when I was a sophomore.
Okay.
So he was a junior that year.
Okay,
but that was the year, the next year that Fremont was supposed to beat us. Then they couldn't beat us my sophomore year. So then all the Fremont guys went to MAC and thought they beat us my junior year.
Okay,
yeah.
So 2000.
But I heard that sophomore year Silver Bowl was close.
My sophomore year
against Fremont when Paul Alberto ran that kickback.
And then Harrison took a punt right back.
Yeah,
Harrison
I think
took a punt right back.
I think it was only like a 6-point game.
I think it was. I remember Dub C scoring, jumping into the end zone a little bit, jumping in the end zone. I don't know what the exact score was.
And the regular season was a
both games. It wasn't a 1-point game, but they were beating us like 21-0 at halftime.
Yeah, something like
Yeah. Fremont was beating us, and then the big gun stepped up.
I saw the clip of the phantom 4th and goal penalty that gave you guys a first and goal. It was 4th and goal, and they threw a pass to the left sideline to maybe Rufus, but I'm not positive. Hirsch broke it up, and that was supposed to be turnover on downs. And then just like Miami versus Ohio State, some 10 seconds later, a phantom flag comes out. And
I'm gonna be real. I'm sure I know we won, and then obviously they had a second chance to beat us in the Silver Bowl. We beat them again. So dice it up, cut it up however you want to. They couldn't fuck with us either way.
Boom. So back to my thing. On 2004, 96 is 5, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty. Hold on. Let me back it up for viewer purposes, so that Skyline understands why I'm okay with these rankings. I won't even debate him in his rankings. The 2003 team went 11-1, so they didn't lose at all.
We didn't lose
at all. Okay, I'll give you that. The 98 team was undefeated. The 2001 team, I don't know what they did in the preseason, but whoever they played in the championship that year, they blew out. The Terry them season, right?
That year we only lost to Ignacio Valley.
Only lost to Ignacio Valley. So
Only
that's
lost to Ignacio Valley.
Another 11-1 team, right?
I think we missed 3 field goals, and Terry and Chris James was hurt. And also, let me add Chris James to that list of running backs from Skyline. He was a dog. Chris James, underrated. Chris James from North Oakland was a baller. Yeah, okay. He was nice for us. He was so Terry was a power speed back. Chris James was smooth with it. He hit you with a 1-2 and then ride off on you. You know what I mean? Yeah, Chris James was nice. I got to give him some love.
Okay. And then the 2000 team, you just said only lost to De La and St. Francis.
Yep.
And then we go 96, right? So I know the 96 team lost to St. Francis, James Logan, I believe.
Yeah.
And the team from Hawaii, I think it was called
St.
Louis, right?
Which they said they had some ballers and they had a couple dudes that made it to the league off that team.
Yeah, so that was that's 3 losses I know in preseason, as well as only a 6-2 victory in the Silver Bowl, right? Arthur Young, I know you watch our podcast. Here we go. The 2016 was not as great as the rest of the Skyline teams. I won't say as great as the team that was today. They're not as great as the rest of the Skyline team. You okay with that, Ken? I know Ken is.
I'm cool with that. I don't have no debate with that ranking. I pretty much agree with it.
So, like I said, only 2 I will argue is 98 and 03, but I'm gonna let the Skyline guys hash that out. This has nothing to do with me. I'm going into my purple and gold cave, and I'm just gonna let Ken post it and let them hash it out. Right? That's a good fraternity. That's Titan fraternity talk. It has nothing to do with us, Ken. Right? But Frank, I want to thank you, man. Thanks for coming on the podcast, man. Give us some of the, we had, I don't want you to do what Kirk did. Kirk sent us out with a Skyline chant, and they had people putting up Titans and swords in our comments and shit. We don't need the Skyline chant. So just send us off, man, with something you want to, want the viewers to know about you that we didn't cover today. Something you want to send us off with some last words on.
Nothing, man. I think we covered it all. Like I said, I greatly appreciate you all having me. At the end of the day, man, I'm a Titan. I bleed Titan, man. That's me. That's who I am. And I think if you talk to any of the guys, which you guys have talked to, Derek and, Kirk, KP, like we all, live this. And, it wasn't something that was just instilled in us then. It's still in us. And it's forever. It's forever. We great shit. I mean, I'm be real. We can go line them up right now with any team they want to play. We can throw the pads on now.
Hey, Frank, I was there with you until I thought about tearing my hamstring. So when y'all set the game up, me and Ken would cover the media. Me and Ken would cover the media.
We'll do play-by-play. I'm good.
We can have an alumni game, and I'm pretty sure I'll have a whole Skyline offense, defense, special teams ready to go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You got these Skyline guys that are a lot serious than us.
I have nothing for you.
I have my
that right there, folks, is the difference between Skyline and the rest of the whole thing.
That is the difference. My hamstring, my insurance do not cover torn hamstrings in alumni games, right? The fact, man. Hey, but we want to thank you, man. Thanks a lot for coming on, Frank, man, and sharing all of this with us, man. We appreciate you.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Y'all take care.
All right, have a good one.
Later.
Hey, man, them Skyline guys, Ken, they serious. They're serious.
They're crazy.
Yeah, they too serious. They take it too serious. Can you imagine what? So here's the thing. Remember we talk about how the De La Salle team that lost the Silver Bowl, right? Can you? The De La Salle team that lost the streak, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine what the first Skyline team that lost to Red Nim actually? He talked about it a little bit. He was his junior year, and it made his senior year be spectacular. But can you imagine what the seniors that lost the Silver Bowl streak for Skyline feel like now? It's like, holy shit, what do y'all feel like, right? Too much pressure
on that team. We got to get one on the show.
We have to get one on the show. I think he said it was 02. He said it earlier who the seniors was. We hear it on the playback, man. But what was that like for the seniors? Like, I even want to talk to the De La Salle person that lost. We know we saw it in the movie, but that was all, hyped up. I need to know, what was the mentality like for the rest of your life? Like, you can't talk at the barbecue.
Bro,
You
you
can't talk
gotta
at the
go
music.
get your plate last. That's a little alumni thing. Go back and wait.
Go ahead and go, right? If because outside of them coming back and winning it, 03 coming back and winning it, 04, Marshawn them won it, I think. Marshawn them won it, and then Beam left. Like, 02, y'all get the blame for Beam leaving. Like, y'all get the blame for Beam leaving, right?
It's been Mac ever since. Well, no, I guess Tech and Castlemont had they
Tech got they one. Castlemont got it's Mac. It's Mac.
Mac.
Man, hey, shout out to our viewers, man. They hit me up, asked us, are we going to do another OAL preview and do it like that? Not to shout out the OAL preview, man. It's just really hard getting coaches to come on. We tried a few times. We had Ed on already. We had Omari on before. We had Fell on before. Who else we missing? We missing Skyline. We missing Skyline.
And then I don't even know who the hell is that Oakland High.
Skyline, Oakland High, and Mac. So
Pooh.
Yeah. Pooh shook us like a paradise,
Pooh.
man.
You gotta go coach now. Coaches get all of it. Coach Pooh. Come on, man. You owe us one.
Oh, you got that was I remember, because you can't even call prime time. You gotta call him Coach Prime. I got it.
I think I did. I think maybe it was on air or off air, but I think I did it to somebody and they checked me. I was like, God damn, y'all really tripping off this thing. I was like, Coach. I was like, my bad, bro.
Hey, Ken, we gonna have to do an episode one day where it ain't a guest on here, where it's just us talking about all the things, comments we see, the conversations we have all the time, people, the shit we hear, right? We gonna do this episode gonna be entitled "The Shit We Hear," man, and it's gonna be definitely geared on letting people hear.
Oh man, I was laughing with my brother about. I gotta send you the DM. I gotta send it to you, bro. I did requests that it was just like, what?
The conversations we hear, the things, right? And a lot of the time, for people that don't know, when we bring guests on here, we do a check. We do a 10-person check and see if people want to hear the story, right? Yeah. And most of the time we bring guests on here, they're highly requested before we bring them on. Yes. Let's hear this person's story. Now, getting the call from Jace is like, okay, Jace, I want to hear your story. So come on this shit, because you can help us out. Everybody say it's undebatable with Jace. So definitely we got to do shows, man, where we let the viewer know what goes on with us and how the podcast work and who we bring on, how we decide that. Cut all that shit at the end. I'm recording right now. Start recording right now. Cut all that shit right now.
Man, when Logan is kicked off the air, thank y'all for joining us for another episode of the Rec Center. We want to thank our guest, Frank Summers, for coming on. Definitely like, subscribe our YouTube channel, the Rec Center, and also follow us on Instagram at the Rec Center Podcast. From Lorenzo Parham, I'm Kenny Edwards. Yeah.